Hello, America. Welcome to the Junto Podcast, where we promote the practical applications of critical thinking and bold creativity. I am your host, Edgar Mills. Thanks for joining us. Hey, America. Welcome to episode 33 of the Junto Podcast. I appreciate you guys for staying with me. Today, we're talking to my good friend, Dennis Rousseau. He does a lot of things, and he wears multiple hats, in fact. So I'm going to let him tell you just a little bit about what he does, and then we're going to be talking about some law enforcement training dynamics and some pros and cons and what's good and bad and our thoughts on it. So Dennis, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing all right. The owner and lead instructor for Force Solutions, where I teach defensive tactics and firearms training. I'm also a competitive shooter, black belt in jiu-jitsu and a couple other martial arts, and an agency full-time defensive tactics instructor and firearms instructor.
Nice. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff. Dennis and I met, several years ago, just to collaborate on some training, and we did. And then we just started shooting together a lot. And we train together a lot. So what we're talking about today is deficiencies in law enforcement training, and where can we place the responsibility of those deficiencies. So I'm going to let Dennis just go a little bit, because Dennis is still an active law enforcement guy. So what do you think, Dennis? Where are we going here?
Well, I think one of the main things is it's hard to lay the blame on the agency or department versus the officer, because I think it falls a little bit on both. If you have on the agency side, they need people out working, and it's hard to have training time. But then also on the officer side, there's no accountability of themselves. If the agency is not going to teach you, you're in a job that at any given time your life could be on the line, yet you don't train. So, a lot of things go into that: physical fitness, firearms training, defensive tactics training, mindset training. There's a lot of things that you can learn when you're just sitting in a cruiser or whatever else you're doing.
Yeah. And so I did an episode with a fellow named Ricky Robinson. And so basically on individual responsibility, where a lot of guys like us who train basically for a living, where we land is the individual officers are coming up kind of short on their end. It's good to blame the agency. It's good to blame the organization. But there's about 8 million things you could do individually to improve yourself when you're in the business of carrying lethal force around.
Yeah, on that, there's the misconception on firearms is, I have to go to the range and shoot. And that's not true. You can talk to any, firearms instructor, worth their salt, or a competitive shooter. A lot of their training is done, dry fire.
Yeah,
and
in the basement.
Exactly. Yep. And movement drills and all different kind of things that you can do without going to the range. Is getting the gun in your hand more often instead of once every 3 months or once every 6 months.
Yep, dry firing. All right, so let's pick up on your little outline here. So in the current landscape, the way things are now with the law enforcement training structure there. So tell me about, what you know. You probably haven't been to an academy in multiple years, but what's going on in the academies and what's going on with their qualification standards and frequency, and then how they manage their training time.
So yeah, like you said, I haven't been to a basic academy in quite some time, about 18 years. But academy is where most officers get their most firearms training, because either they don't know how to shoot a gun or they've shot a little bit. And so they're getting a lot more training on how to use the tool correctly, how to take it apart and stuff like that. I think training has been coming up a little bit from listening and talking to other instructors, but I think it's still lacking.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of people would agree with that. So right now, and Ricky Robinson sort of said similar things. Academy training is somewhere between 40 and 80, depending on the agency, between 40 and 80 hours. And that's not 40 and 80 hours of firearms training. That's 40 and 80 hours of everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to learn how to take the gun apart,
Right.
put it back together, what to clean, and that shouldn't take that long.
So is that but is that 80 hours exclusive to firearms only, or is that like driving and defensive tactic techniques and all these
No,
other
that's
things?
that's firearms
Okay. All right.
only because they're split up
Right. I got you. So generally speaking, like 80 hours, let's say that's a 2-week course, right?
pretty
That's
much.
that's a pretty good that's pretty good time for training, but like periodically, like you should do that every so often.
Well, speaking of my academy, it was longer than two weeks,
Yeah.
and it was for at least an hour, hour and a half a day, and you were on the range a lot.
Well, when I'm saying 2 weeks, I mean 8-hour days, right?
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
that's 80 hours.
Yeah, if it was
If we're talking
just
about 8-hour day.
if it was just an 8-hour day, yes, but
Yeah.
it's split up throughout the day with everything else, law and
Right.
defensive
So
tactics.
what I'm trying to figure out here is on that hour or 2 hours in a day that's just firearms exclusive. Is there 80 hours of firearms exclusive training?
Yes.
Okay.
40,
Okay.
40, 40
They
to
just
80
stretch it
hours.
way out.
They just
Okay.
stretch it out
Right.
because they have to get in
Yeah. Yeah.
curriculum and all
Yeah.
this
I
other
got it. I
stuff
got
they
it.
have to do.
And then, generally speaking, what is the qualification? Once a year, twice a year max?
It depends on the department and post and all that stuff. I think Georgia Post is once a year.
Uh,
Most federal agencies is minimum 2 times a year.
yeah.
And I think some of them are 4 times a year.
Huh. Well, I mean, I guess that ain't bad, but I guess it depends on the qualification itself. We both know Georgia Post. It, I mean, I don't like to use the words basic and advanced, but it's basic at best.
Right. Well, I mean, you have to look at it as it's a minimum
It's
qualification
a minimum
standard.
qualification standard, right? And but the problem is they use that as the check mark for I'm good. My training is good for the year.
Correct. Exactly.
And
I passed the qual,
yeah,
so I don't need to put anything else into this until next year.
yeah. And so what you got written here, which I agree with 100%. One, it's all static. There's no movement involved in it whatsoever. Two, there are time standards, but they're very loose.
Correct.
And I happen to know I've had some officers out here that their departments don't even really time them. They just kind of they let them take their time.
Right.
And I know there are time standards attached to each one of those stages, but they're still weak.
They are.
And then as far as realism goes, like yeah,
I mean, I've never watched a video of officer involved shooting where they were standing still
right, yeah,
shooting
yeah,
at each other. It's not like the old Wild West.
yeah, right. So but they're sticking with it, man. Georgia Post is just sticking with it. They're like, yep, this is it. This is what it is. And why do we think that? Because are we going to use the term lowest common denominator?
I mean, I wouldn't say lowest common denominator. I would say it's a measurable. It's measurable, right? And it's across the board for everybody else. Now, talking lowest common denominator, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think it comes down to more about retention. And
What do you mean?
it,
Like skill, like the ability to maintain that
right,
level of skill?
it exactly, and be able to keep your job.
Well, yeah. So look, other podcasts, everybody says it all the time. The training standards are minimal. Okay, we won't use the term lowest common denominator, but there's officers out there that will not do any additional training.
Correct.
They just will not.
Exactly. So how do we address that in training? I mean, we do it as trainers all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
We get out there and we'll say, okay, XYZ drill we're going to do, okay? And you're going to have a disparity of skill between everybody. Okay? So this is the baseline for the skill. All right? So
but how do we measure? So I'm going to draw the comparison. I'm going to throw libertarian idealism in here a little bit.
Okay.
And draw the comparison. As civilian or private company trainers like we are, we have to provide value.
Right.
the customer has to, one, get value for their dollar, and they have to have some measurable learning going on.
Right.
So for us, we do whatever drills we do, and it's more about the performance of the drill and less about the, okay, check the block, you hit the A zone twice. Now, by default, because we focus on performance, they're going to be able to hit the A zone on
Right.
demand eventually, right? Like, it just takes training. It takes getting there.
Right.
So the contrast is big government, right? Agencies, there's not any, they don't compete with somebody for
Right.
money, well, they budget dollars, but so they can train low level training. And it's basically kind of like the army. You just push a lot of people in, you got to graduate a lot of people, and you push a lot of people out.
Right.
And they don't have any incentive. Well, the agency itself doesn't seem to recognize the need and the incentive to go beyond the post standards
Right.
because it's just a government mandate thing. They
Right.
got to do this. They did this. Great. Move on.
So I would see that as a management thing.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
But it has to come down to the instructors. The instructors have to be willing to push their people and for them to learn more and get better.
Well, not only willing, but able.
Well, there's that as well. I'm sure we're going to get into that
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah.
But it comes down to the instructors that, you know, help their, just like you said, being able to explain the drill or explain this
Right,
or
right.
explain that and have the willingness to do it and not just it being a position,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
They
And
got to be
that's
able to
and that's the only way that it's going to get better is that there has to be. I look at it, you and I look at this as a lifestyle,
Yeah.
right? And it's not a position, right? So even though at our age, we're still trying to push the envelope to be up to date and relevant,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. That's right.
We're not sitting back in the past of what we learned. I got out of the Army in 92.
Yeah.
What I remember from back then, because it's not about what we did back then or whenever it was, it's what we do now.
Yeah. That's
And
right.
that's what I look at. And I look at that a lot with the instructors as well. They'll go to the 3-week academy or whatever it is for firearms or defensive tactics, whatever it is. And now they come back, okay, I'm a subject matter expert now.
Yeah.
But a lot of the drills that they learn and stuff there, number one, they can teach it, they can regurgitate it, but do they understand it?
Right.
And then can you evaluate your students as well?
Yep.
So this is where the professional, training comes in of keeping up on yourself, right?
Right. Professional development for
Exactly.
training.
You always have to be developed. You're always
And
a
much
student.
like the individual officer who should go train on his own, the instructor should seek out professional development on his own to stay relevant.
Correct. If you're not getting it with your agency, you should be seeking other people out, and there's plenty of them around.
Yep. Because in addition to what Dennis has been saying, he just inadvertently said we're both old. But Dennis is older than me, so
Yeah,
I'm
a
gonna
little
leave
bit.
it. Yeah, we got professional relevant. Just stay relevant.
Exactly.
But the skills, the principles don't ever change. But there's dudes that shoot now, like 10 years ago, like the baseline skill level for a pro shooter now, I think, is higher than it was 10 or 15 years ago.
For sure.
I mean,
and they're getting younger.
and they're getting younger. That's right. And so they got longer time to just continually improve upon what's already.
Yep.
And because of the internet and YouTube and all these like proper professional dudes out there, young dudes are learning to shoot partially off of YouTube.
Yeah.
And if you can if you can look at and see who's a bullshit instructor and who's a good instructor, and you start looking at these good instructors, man, these young dudes are out there just murdering it, man.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. I mean, on that note, YouTube has a lot of great information.
Yeah.
It also has a lot of bunk information.
Yeah, a lot of bullcrap.
Right? But just like Edgar said, if you don't know who to watch, get with one of us. We'll let you know who to watch. But on that note as well, you have to have a baseline of knowledge or you're going to be watching this stuff and not understand.
No, that's right.
what
You got to
they're
be able to
doing.
put it in context.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you need somebody to help you do that sometime, especially newer shooters. Once you have, you need to be able to put it in context.
I mean, going off of what you said also is that pretty much all instructors high-level instructors that keep up on their craft and try to get better, we all teach relatively the same things.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how many fundamental firearms classes I've gone to multiple other instructors, mainly to hear differences in the way they teach things,
Yeah, yeah.
verbiage, stuff like that. Because
Like,
everybody learns different.
you'll catch a different joke from one guy than the other.
Exactly. Or they
But
might explain something a little differently
Yeah.
that I do that somebody else might pick up a little easier.
but principally, it's all the same.
Exactly.
There's nothing, I say this all the time, there's nothing proprietary in the gun training business.
No.
I mean, unless you make some widget to put on a gun that's ridiculous or whatever. But yeah, so we've laid the responsibility at the feet of the individual officers, and then you just laid essentially at the responsibility at the feet of the instructors for continual professional development, which should be done. What about the agencies? Are they enabling that professional development? Do you think?
I would say some of them probably are. I mean, it's
Yeah, we're speaking generally. Some are
right.
better than others.
Right. Generally,
sure.
I would say probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're always looking at what are we going to get out of it if we send you to this,
Right.
right? And I understand that. Look at it from a business standpoint.
Return on investment.
Exactly.
They're paying money to send you
Exactly.
to whoever.
But I think they make it so hard to where instructors just don't want to go through the process of getting help. Now, with me, that was one of the things with me. I said, well, regardless, I'm going to go get this training with or without your help.
Yeah.
And I'm not the type of guy to withhold information to my people.
Right.
And I'm going to give them everything I have.
So individually, you felt a responsibility to be better.
Exactly.
And whether the department sent you to be better or not, you went out and seeked it out, and that's good.
I look at, we're being held at a higher standard.
That's correct. Yeah.
If there's a use of force incident or anything like that, who are they going to come to?
Yeah. So what I'm having a hard time with the agencies is the return on investment. They don't see it because of limited budgets and whatever their good budget priorities are. They don't want to send officers to these higher level skill courses because they don't see the return.
No.
But the return is in everyday proficiency, like every day, and ultimately liability. So how do you measure that you didn't accidentally shoot a civilian? You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, it comes down to you have a qualification. Qualification, just like we said, is a minimum standard. I look at proficiency more than a qualification.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also look at qualifications as, okay, we do a warm-up qualification, right? That score means more to me than your next two quals.
Yeah, because
that you do.
That's the cold one. That's what matters.
That's what matters. Exactly. Performance on demand.
Yeah.
You're not going to get to warm up
Yep.
in a gunfight and be like, oh, hold on a second. Tech pause. Let me get some rounds in. Okay. All right. Now I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's this stress element that comes into it too. Right. So how do we introduce the stress into the training?
And that's right. And we do that, right?
We do.
Private company, we do it.
It's called beep.
And most cops, yeah, exactly. And most cops who come out and train with me or you or anybody else, they understand that and they're out here looking for that. It's all the cops that don't come out to train that you got to worry about. But I want to move on to the what organizational culture that you got. Because organizationally, I mean, yes, the leadership sets the tone for that. Or in the military, that's the way, right? If you got a good company or battalion leadership, everybody sets a tone. But I see a lot of it with cops is the good enough for government work mentality.
I'm good, right? 70,
pass my qual.
71 will get you a badge and a gun.
Yeah.
Whatever you have to, qual, right?
Madness, absolute madness. So I don't know, man. I listen to some different podcasts and some different dudes in law enforcement, and there's some out there. Yeah, and you got to imagine big agencies with a lot of money train more, right? And they hire professionals come out and train them all.
Yeah, somewhat.
But the majority of agencies, small municipalities, man, they're not training at all.
No. They don't have the money.
Yeah.
I mean, they got enough for their officers to carry their rounds,
Yeah.
and probably they give them enough to go do their qual, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to take it upon yourself
So
to
that's
get
the
better.
leadership challenge. Yeah, individually you should.
Right.
Right.
Or you allocate a little bit more money
Right.
and take it from something else that you really don't need.
Right.
Right.
So we're talking about leadership setting the culture, though. So now, in some small Georgia rural place, you got some dude that spent his career not training, and he lived right. And I say it all the time: just because you lived, don't mean you did it right.
Right.
And so he don't have an urgency that dudes should be out there training. And then they got a low budget. So how do in a leadership position with cops these days? I mean, how do you set the culture of like excellence in skill when you can't afford it or you can't?
I think excellent in skill, you know, you don't have to shoot a lot of rounds to get
Right.
excellent in the skill.
Right.
How many times can you run reloads on the line with people
Right.
and evaluate them? You have to evaluate. That's the thing
Yeah.
is
But
is
that's a physical training piece. How do you
right.
set the culture though to make your cops who don't have training dollars to make them want to go out and shoot on their own? How can a
You
leader
you
do
have
that?
to you have to get a knowledgeable person that understands these things and able to train them in a way that keeps them in budget,
Yeah.
you know?
So, well, what I'm thinking,
When we first started our business, right? When you first started your business, did we have a whole bunch of money coming out?
no,
No, we didn't. So we
still
did
don't have a bunch of money.
right. So we worked with what we had, but we gave the most information that we could, gave them ways to train. In essence, I'm when I teach, I'm teaching myself out of a job,
Right. Right.
right? And that's how I am. And those are the kind of instructors that I gravitate towards and, you know, will give my money to,
Yeah.
right?
So I'm still on the leadership stuff. Like with minimal budget, how can the leadership incentivize? I mean, and look, it's creative stuff, right? Like you can do some kind of day off type thing. If you shoot the best on this thing for I don't know, there's got to be some way to make cops want to like be
There
better than the other cop.
and I totally understand what you're coming from.
I'm trying to figure out creative
But
ways. How do you push that?
it's not even sometimes it's not the management's job either. I mean, the management sometimes they'll put something in place like that, but then you'll get half the officers that okay, so say it's a shooting competition,
Yeah.
right? And the top dog gets, some time off, just like you said.
Right.
Some of the officers won't even go do it because they know they're not going to win. They look at it as I'm not going to win versus
That's sort of a
what can I learn?
defeatist. I don't know, man. You're hammering on the individual, man, and
No,
I agree with you.
and I
No, I
understand.
agree with it. I agree with it.
Management has a lot to do with it. As you know, being in the military and stuff like that, having a good squad leader, team
Yeah.
leader, stuff like that, who do we always gravitate to? The ones that got in the holes with us, that dug the
Yeah.
holes and stuff versus sat in the tents playing spades.
Well, this next thing that you put, and it's funny because it says peer pressure. Well, everybody in this audience is going to go, yeah, you pressure your peers to be better. But no, dudes who go out and train on their own, cops, they get ostracized for doing extra stuff.
Exactly.
That's madness, man.
What's wrong with being better?
Yeah, well, yeah, I hear you. I just think it's
You
crazy.
you want me being an officer is a multifaceted thing. I mean, you think about anything that happens anywhere. It's like call the police, right? Domestic
No,
disturbance.
there's a lot.
Somebody's
Yeah,
got a gun. I mean, you wear multiple hats.
yeah, there's
You got to be able to you're a marriage counselor.
and it's too much,
You have to
and
know exactly.
it's too much, and that is not the police are misused in many ways, in my opinion. But that's
Yes,
another podcast. We're talking about training,
right.
and yeah, individual. If you join the police, in my opinion, if you get a job with a police force somewhere, and you don't want to go train, with the one thing that's the most like the lethal force. Never mind defensive tactics and all that,
Yeah.
just to keep yourself
Right.
alive on the street there.
Not only alive.
If you're just doing it because it's a paycheck, you have failed somewhere along the way because you ain't going to get rich being a cop. I can tell you that.
Right.
So what the hell, man?
So why are
Why
you
are you
in it?
even out there? Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Oh, I want to help my community. Well, go work at a fucking soup kitchen, man. Like,
Right.
if you don't want to
There's
train,
you can volunteer at a lot of
you can
different
do a lot of
things.
things. If you're because otherwise, I think that they are a menace
You're a
to society.
liability.
That's right. You're out there now with a false sense of authority and the inability to
Right.
efficiently deliver lethal force.
I mean, you look at surviving the encounter, but what happens with, you know, crappy training and you're not willing to train and stuff like that, and the old adage of every bullet has a lawyer attached to it, right?
Yeah, well, that's
So
yeah.
there's a lot of things coming out now, especially with, video and stuff like that. Did you put yourself in harm's way and all these different things, right? Did you start the encounter? Did you escalate the
Oh,
encounter?
you're certainly scrutinized to death.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
and that does
So
have
why
a
wouldn't you want to be better
right
so you can have the
because
better you are, the more confident you are,
yeah,
the more bandwidth you're going to
that
have to think.
that's what training does.
Exactly.
It makes you it 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 clarifies your decision making process
Right.
because now you don't have to think about doing your fucked up backwards mag change on a retreat. I've seen some bizarre videos, and you
Oh
have
yeah.
too. We've all seen them. If you train regularly, that's a background app. That's a subconscious task.
Right.
And now you can think about solving the problem in a more efficient way. Yeah, how people don't put that together is beyond me. But once again, so the culture, that's what we were talking about. And I was trying to put it on leadership, and it is to a degree, but ultimately it comes down to the individual cop and
Right.
your willingness to go out there train to be better.
Because regardless of what management says, if it's important to you,
Yeah.
you should find a way to be able to
Yeah.
get better.
And if it's not important to you, why is are you not worried about cops got targets on their backs.
Right.
People hate cops. And I have a love-hate relationship with cops. But knowing just that fact alone, man, like it happens all the time in major cities. Some cop's sitting there eating a sandwich. Some dude walks up and smokes them. That there's
Yep.
plenty of instances of that happening. So knowing that, what the hell, man? Yeah. So individually, why aren't you out there training if you're not? Why? Don't put it on leadership to give you a box of 50 rounds. You know what I mean? Go,
Right.
go buy 1,000 rounds of 9mm. That'll last you for a little bit.
Yeah.
$200 out of your pocket ain't gonna kill you. All right, what we got? Training curriculum and defense. So that's generic, but it says often outdated and rarely updated, which 100% true.
Right.
How long has Georgia Post been with it? They just changed it, but they just changed it to make it easier. But up until then, when was the last time it was changed?
I have no idea.
Yeah, madness.
And that's a lot of, and looking at agencies and departments, there was things that I didn't know about getting curriculum changed and stuff like that. Some of them cost a lot of money
I'm sure it's a
because
bureaucratic nightmare.
it's bureaucratic, as lawyers,
Yeah,
everything involved, right? Is it touching all these bases,
right.
all these different things? I think agencies' curriculums are coming up, but it also has to come down to the instructors understanding what the curriculum is and how to deliver it
Yeah,
and evaluate it.
and you can train beyond the curriculum and still adhere to
Exactly.
yeah, which that's I think what you were saying earlier, which is absolutely true. Instructors, if you're a good instructor, you can eloquently explain the hows and whys and well beyond what's on the damn
Right.
piece of paper.
Because when it comes down to it, what is it? We're looking at the use of deadly force.
Yeah.
How do we do it and how we do it legally? Adhere to the 4 firearm safety rules.
Yeah. Well, those apply everywhere, man.
Exactly.
I tell people that all the time. 4 universal rules of firearm safety apply to Afghanistan, the Waffle House parking lot, the range,
Walmart.
and wherever it's the same. And then some of the training curriculum, so they're outdated. Yeah, they rely a lot just on static, not
Static
even,
drills.
yeah, just,
Yeah.
and then the
And the
time
time
standards,
standards aren't
and the
even.
time standards a week.
Yep.
Failure to integrate any movement whatsoever. Now, I told you today I was doing that consult, and I got a course of fire for them for a qualification. Out of 8 stages, 2 of them have movement, but they have movement. There's a retreat, and there's one where you close the distance. But for what they got, they're very relevant. You have to be able to move
Right.
and shoot. Now, very few ranges have the capability to shoot at moving targets, but you can shoot while you're moving.
Right. And this is a good thing about being able to train on your own and not going to. Do you have to technically shoot rounds to learn movement?
Yeah.
No, you don't. You can practice dry fire. There's if you don't want to use your live gun, there's a lot of, other training guns out there that you can get, cert pistols, whatever, right? But is practicing moving with your tools,
Yep, that's right.
right?
And you can do movement in the basement. You can set multiple
Wherever.
targets. Yeah, you
Multiple
can do it.
targets throughout the house,
Yeah,
walk down the hallway.
you can do it.
You can do it. I do it.
So let's see. Now, I happen poor incorporation of force on force and scenario based training. I love force on force training. I think it's brilliant. It's very hard to standardize, probably. However, it does, especially with UTM, you get a little sense of urgency when you catch one in junk if you ain't wearing your.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's a little sense of urgency there.
But there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do
Yeah.
it, because
If it devolves into a paintball match,
exactly.
it's got to be.
That's one of the things. And another thing is having good role players.
Yeah.
Because, you have to, I'm not saying let the people win, but if you don't die
No, but
and all these different
you train
things.
for victory, like in the military. You train for
Exactly.
victory. And that comes down, we kind of hammered on instructors earlier. That comes down to instructors managing that training to get the value out of what they're trying to do.
Right. You have to have core objectives
Right.
of what you want to see in that scenario and stick to it.
Yeah.
And don't go off script.
No, I think force on force is critical. Yeah, I think it's critical.
I love it. It's problem solving.
Yeah, it's problem solving. That's what it is. And if you have, like you said, role players with a legitimate scenario and they kind of stick with that script, like, oh, well, it's scripted. No, I mean, you do different scenarios for sure. So you don't just memorize the same one.
I mean, the better the role players are, the better they are being able to roll off of the student.
Yeah.
Right. If they're, say, for instance, I'm just like trying to de-escalate the whole time, right? Well, a good role player know how to push the issue.
Yeah.
Right. Versus staying in that command loop.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as it's realistic.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think force on force is brilliant. Let's see what else we got. Neglect of low light, close quarters, and one-handed shooting. I concur with all that. Low light is critical because most bad things happen in the dark.
A lot of problems with law enforcement training is all on a static line.
Yeah.
With multiple people on static line.
Yeah.
So if you look at low light training in a nutshell, it's usually just being touched on. Here's the positions.
Right.
Shoot a couple rounds from these positions. Do we practice, transitioning from a handheld to a weapon mounted light? The pros and cons of each. I do a lot more training with a handheld light because that's probably what I'd be searching with.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, and that, you know what, and there's plenty of people offering low light courses that are legitimate.
Right.
That cops can go to, onesies and twosies at a time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Take that knowledge back to the,
don't go to class and then just
sit on it.
And sit on it, and keep the information yourself so you can be better than.
And so now we're going to bounce back to the organization, not seeing the return on investment. Well, if you send 2 guys who are sort of maybe seniorish guys or instructors, and they go and get some good info, they come back and integrate that into it might not change your qual, but it changes your training.
Right. You can integrate it at any time.
And then one-handed shooting, I think we all know there's value there. There's a lot of reasons why you would need to shoot with one hand.
Perfect example. I got a handheld flashlight.
Yeah,
in my hand.
exactly. All right. Contextual use of force law. Yeah, that's sort of scenario-based stuff,
Right.
decision making and things
Decision
like that.
making. Yep.
And then lack of integration between defensive tactics, arrest control, and firearms. Again, force on force, situational training. If you have a focus on that, well, I don't think, yeah, just have a legitimate scenario out there and let it play out.
Yeah, because the
Then how well
objectives
did you do the things you needed to do?
exactly. The objective is for you have objective marks for each one of
Right.
these. Notice that there's a problem. Take care of the problem,
Yeah.
and then what's the last thing we got to do? We got to make sure they're in cuts.
Yeah.
Right. So have to take it all the way through.
All right. Well, next we got quals and standards. So Georgia Post, man, it's weak. We all know it's weak. Outdated, yeah, probably. But the time standards definitely are for, you know, and the argument is this: well, if we make the standards so high, people won't pass it. Well, who do you want on the street? The guy that can,
Who do you want on the street?
yeah,
Who do you want backing you up?
right, exactly. Emphasis on round count and accuracy and unrealistic. Yeah. So, yeah, they got what, 40 round, and it's two here, two there. You do this, you do the mag change with the side step. It's all very
Every qual is a little bit different. I mean, majority of the movement that you'll see is either one step to the right, one step to the left, or dropping to a knee.
And then people get into that, you check your six where you throw your in and you do all kind of weird rangeisms and you never do the realistic stuff that you do.
Right.
And is it realistic for cops to have to shoot somebody at 25 yards? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. There's a lot of instructors out there that don't teach past 10 yards.
I know, and that's absolute madness.
Right?
It's mad.
I mean, you put two cars nose to nose. How much distance is that?
Exactly.
Depending on the size of the car, right?
People justify not doing that with false numbers just because it's hard to do, so they don't.
And then you're looking at, distance, speed, and accuracy, and then also, how do we quantify, speed, right? Speed and accuracy, and the person's skill level.
Yeah. Well, there's a magical way to do that.
Yeah,
everybody knows called hit factor, right?
Exactly. Right.
It's just doing one more piece of math.
And this is another reason why I started, shooting competition.
Right.
Is because number one, it's stressful.
Yep.
Number two, it showed me where all my holes are, and gives me.
And you're measuring yourself against other dudes who may be exponentially better, i.e., DJ.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whoever.
And then you find out who you want to get coached from.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, man. So that stuff is very important in training. So there's no way that we can sit here and talk about it all day long. They're not going to change the qualifications and what the standards are. They're going to keep them low because they need people. They need to keep the body count.
It's retention.
It's retention. Exactly. And they don't want to have a standard. It's hard. Oh, man, heaven forbid. That's why it's important to go get trained from other people.
Right.
As an individual.
Be willing and understand that you're not proficient and that this is a degrading skill. If you only touch a gun once or twice every 6 months, then you're just repeating kindergarten every time you go.
Yeah. And I'm going to hit this last bullet here because we've been talking about it. Compare it to competitive shooting or private sector training standards. Every trainer I know, every instructor that I know personally, exponentially higher standards than any cop agency that I know of.
Yes, of course.
Exponentially higher.
Because how do you get better?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to push the limit, push the ceiling. I mean, if you got a qual where you have a bill drill and you got 6 seconds to do the bill drill, I mean, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, the national average for a bill drill is what, 2 seconds?
Something like that. Yeah, it's crazy. It's fast. And that's like 7 yards too, which.
Right.
Yeah, everybody, you can go on YouTube and you can find any civilian out there on YouTube who's just smoking bill drills and different things.
I can't remember the guy's name. I saw him do it the other day, like 1.34 seconds.
Oh my God, that's insanity.
Alphas.
Yeah, that's insanity.
And it's like, so I'm not saying be good at a bill drill.
No.
Right? But
that's a very relevant drill though.
It is.
Shoot multiple rounds in one
because
sitting.
It has a lot of training value in it if you use it for training.
Yeah.
Right? Grip, vision, recoil management, everything. Then if you want to add to it, then Okay, we do a retreating bill drill.
Right,
Or
exactly.
you do a bill drill from 15 yards,
Yeah.
25 yards.
Yeah, it's everybody.
So
I
you
think
have to
it's
change the dynamics.
universally accepted that the bill drill is a very relevant. It's very relevant because of all the things you said. If your grip ain't there, your bill drill ain't there.
No,
You're keeping it. It's a measure of the control of your gun. That's what it is.
right.
So let's move on because I want to hit these things. Before I know
Yeah,
you
no
got to roll
problem.
pretty soon, but instructor selection and training. So how does a guy get to be an instructor in a given agency?
It
He's
depends.
been around long enough, or what?
It depends
He's ready to get off the street for a while.
because, I've seen all different kinds,
Yeah,
right? Maybe you're in a small department and you're the youngest guy and you just got voluntold that you have to go,
yeah,
right? For firearms or defensive tactics, whatever it
right.
is. Or it's a cushy job.
Yeah.
So you take it. It's got a good schedule
So
or whatever
so
it is.
other motivations than
There's
just
other motivations
passing on
other
to
than
goodness.
just being a good instructor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's not necessarily the skill. They just send you to your little instructor training course.
Right.
You pass.
I mean,
Now
it
you're
would
an
make
instructor.
sense sending people that have a number one knowledge of the stuff because I'm sure that there's departments and agencies out there that have multiple people or some people that actually train outside of work
Yeah.
or shoot competitions.
And it's growing, man. So that's been the good
It's
thing.
growing.
Over the
Yes.
past 5 or 10 years, you're
Yep.
starting to see
It is. It
more and
is
more
growing.
cops get out.
But like we said before, it's a lifestyle. It's not a position.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's right. So yeah, finding those guys, man, who want to do it, train out. So, yeah. So I want to hit this last one. This
Yep.
is a good one. Poor understanding of adult learning theory, but ability to instruct and instructional methodology.
Right.
So many people, you might be a badass shooter and you can't relay it.
Yeah.
What good? What good is it if you can't relay it?
So you might be a mediocre shooter, but you can convey
And
the knowledge
a lot of 50-cent words. Yeah.
right? You might be able to teach other people, but you might not be able to perform as well,
Yeah.
right? There's two sides of the coin.
You got to have that balance, though, buddy. You got to be able to.
You do. You
got to be
have
able
to.
to deliver to be credible.
You got to have the buy-in.
Yep.
Right. And I don't know about you, and I'm pretty sure you do the same thing I do. Spare time, I'm learning how to teach adults.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, a regular police officer, sits in a squad car, how long?
Yeah.
I mean, there's this cool thing called Audible now and Spotify and all these different things where you can listen to books or podcasts that talk about how to teach people.
There's no reason
No.
these days for anybody to be uneducated on anything.
No.
Because it's all out there.
Exactly. There's plenty of ways to be able to learn.
That's right.
Body language, how to talk to people, mannerisms, all these different things.
No reason to be uneducated on anything today.
No.
In today's world. All right. Instructor knowledge and delivery. So we're kind of talking about that. And I don't want to harp on it too much, but the rangeisms versus reality, like.
Right.
If you can't and then the cops who say competition will get you killed. If you can't determine what environment you're in, you're already in the wrong environment.
Exactly. I mean, it's a lot different in a competition.
The skill is the skill.
Two-way range.
The skill is the skill.
Exactly. Shooting.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Problem solving is a different thing.
Exactly. But in competition, do you have to problem solve? Yeah, you understand. I understand that I got to walk the stage and I know what the stage is. And
convincing guys of that. There are guys who die hard will still, to this day, tell you competition and get you killed.
Yeah, come shoot a competition.
But why, though? They don't want to perform in front of other dudes. That's really what's going on.
That's the big thing, right? They don't want to look bad in front of their peers.
Yeah, I think that's...
They don't want to get smoked by a 15-year-old girl.
I think that's the crux. I really think that's the crux of it.
It is.
I really do. Range-centric, yeah. Instructor, old curriculum, yeah.
I mean, how many times have we heard it? Why you ask somebody why you're doing that, an officer, and it's
and then you hear some bizarre shit.
They don't know.
That
usually,
they heard from Jeff Cooper back in...
I mean, just like ask questions, like the old, things about, on your reload, you have to look at the threat. Well, can I make a vision shift to my mag well. I mean, and then get my mag seated. I mean, how long does that take?
Yeah.
And also, you have periphery. Can I look at my mag well and still see you move in my periphery? I mean, so you have to debunk things. You have to ask questions.
And there's so much. There's so much. Let's see. Outside training, we've talked about this a little bit. Fear of innovation. Yeah. Well, fear of change.
We've always done it this way.
That's a very old man sort of thing. And you got your old red shirt, red hat dude who's been a, what do you call it, high risk instructor for like the past 30 years.
Yep.
And he's still carrying, like, well, I'll carry a revolver. Okay, man.
Exactly.
You got to stay in the game, and you constantly got to
updated and relevant.
Relevant. And even for instance, like, I don't want to say qualifications are qualifications.
Minimum
But
standard.
Only since probably when did USPSA come around? It was probably started
IPSC's been around a lot longer. I started shooting IPSC like around 2000.
Well, no, I mean when the organizations themselves came out. So
right.
Maybe there was some cops doing it back then, but like that's when you started seeing measurables.
Right.
Now, these days, it's just understood a 1 second draw is kind of like the gold standard.
I mean, before the measurables were the qual score.
Right.
Now we can look at metrics. We can look at, because we're using a timer.
That's
we're
right.
Putting it to time.
So old guys are averse to that. They don't want that. They don't like it.
They don't want to do anything they can't do.
Yeah. And when I have old dudes on the range that are like that, they're like, well, you got to be slow, methodical, blah, blah, blah. I say, okay, me and you right now.
Gunfight.
It's go time. Who's going to win? Well,
exactly.
Yeah. You don't know who you're going against on the street as a cop.
Exactly. And usually law enforcement is on time, behind time.
That's right. Ongoing research. Yeah. Like, never mind the quals, right? Is there any instructional recertification? Do you have to prove your relevance?
It depends.
Every couple of years?
It depends on the agency or departments and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that they do. I know that ours, we have to do every 5 years.
Yeah. And that might be all right. Every couple of years, maybe every 5 years. I don't know. Depends on how long. I don't know.
But if you're doing it on a regular basis, you don't have to worry about it.
Well, yeah, if you're constantly teaching courses and constantly.
Right. Or you're competing or going to courses and being a student, then you're staying update and relevant. And then when you do have to go to your agency's, recertification, then you should be above and beyond last time you were there.
Then I want to hit on this one last one in that section is no instructor demonstrations.
Oh, yeah.
I've had people come out here who've trained with other organizations, and they were like, they thought it was awesome that I demoed everything. And I thought, like, who's not demoing everything? And then they're telling me, and I'm like, oh my God. I can't imagine. So cop instructors out there, they're just not demoing the skill. In some cases. Many cases, probably.
I've never taught a class where I don't demo.
Right.
But
that's just
there are some out there that don't demo. So if you don't demo it, how are your officers supposed to see what it's supposed to look like?
How are you
right? Or a standard.
It's so bizarre.
I give them a standard when I do it, right?
And I'll tell you another thing. Hey, some days sun shines on you. Some days it rains on you.
Exactly.
But yeah, being consistent, even if you throw a bad shot here and there, you still got to demo it.
Right.
You got to demo it.
You have to demo it because then you can still use that as a learning or a teaching point, right?
Yeah. I think it's bizarre that there's private companies out there that don't do. And there's some here in Georgia.
Yeah. You have to demo.
Yeah. It's madness. So training. So cops. So again, we're just reinforcing that it's widely known and agreed that cop training comes up short. I say it all the time. I hammer it all the time. It's a leadership thing in that budgetary priorities if the leadership doesn't prioritize training, firearms training, lethal training specifically, then instructors feel well, and you can do a lot with a little when it comes to instructing.
You can.
Like you said, just individually, you can go in your base. As an instructor, you can do a 100 round day, but spend a lot of time doing dry fire stuff and still get the same value.
Right. You can dry fire the drill multiple
Yeah.
times and then run a mag at the end
Yeah.
of that drill and
So
then go to the next one.
then we got leadership who need budgetary priorities. If they don't prioritize training, well, the next level down needs to be more creative. So now we got instructors. The onus is on them. Like, okay, you have minimal resources, but you need to relay this information. It has to get there, and they have to be able to learn this and
Yeah.
demonstrate this.
I mean, there's got to be other ways of being it for management to be able to. I mean, I know it's hard to, say, okay, well, you can't get your promotion until you meet this firearm standard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's too far fetched for me,
Well, no.
right? You should be able to shoot at this level.
Yeah.
Or, you should be able, I mean, think of some jujitsu schools, right? They're like, okay, well, before you get your blue belt, you have to know all these moves, you have to have so many hours, and you have to go to one competition.
Yeah.
Right? So why can't management do that with firearms as well?
Well, because the pushback's going to be what?
Exactly.
if you don't facilitate that, then I'm not. Who's going to
Right.
pay me to do it?
Exactly. But then that comes
Okay.
back down on
So
the
I'm going
officer
down the
again.
ladder, right?
Yeah.
So leadership needs to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
Instructors need to be creative and in the game, not
Right.
just like, oh man, this is my 9 to 5.
I'm not just going to spew some
Right.
stuff out here and regurgitate.
And then, as individual instructors, seek out professional development, learn to teach in an
And
effective way,
learning to teach is really big. I've been doing a
then
lot
keep your
of stuff
shooting
on that.
skills up as well.
Yep.
And then the individual, like, hey, if they're not going to pay for everything, who pays for my bullets? Me. I pay for my bullets. So yeah, the leadership, it ain't on them to coddle your balls through your entire training journey.
Exactly.
Go out and seek out and be better. Drop $200 on 2,000 rounds and do a lot of dry fire and make that last.
I mean, there's a lot of instructors out there that, I used to, me and, my instructor used to do a free defensive tactics,
Yeah.
Training day once every quarter. First couple of times we had a bunch of people showing up. And then after that, it's just like, it just started going down and down and down
Too
in
much effort,
attendance.
man.
And
Gotta
then
get up early.
I mean, they were still getting post certification, they were getting post points out of it or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
and stuff like that. But it got to the point where it didn't make sense for us to do it anymore.
For the two dudes that showed up.
Because nobody was showing up.
The two dudes that gave a shit.
Yeah, nobody was showing up.
Yeah.
And so there has to be a want and a need, in the individual to want to get better. There's plenty of firearms instructors out there that give free lessons to law enforcement. Pretty much everybody gives discounts to law enforcement.
Yep.
So there's really not
every dynamic 2-gun course has 2 free seats available for any law enforcement dude. And Osprey Shooting Solutions offers 4 free hours of training to any agency.
There you
As
go.
an initial, introduction, high five. I'll come to your range, you come to mine, whatever, and do a little assessment. One agency's taken me up so far.
Yeah.
One agency. All right. We're going to get close here. I saw a thing. Where is it at? The link between firearms proficiency and reduced use of force incidents. And we said this earlier, and I want to reiterate it. If you train and you're well trained and you're confident in your skill set and skill level, you're less apt to go to use of force because you're giving yourself, by virtue of being better trained, you're giving yourself more time to solve a problem because you don't have to overthink, oh, I got to get my gun out of my holster.
And with your training, the fear factor is not as bad as well
Yeah,
because you've been under pressure. You
'cause
know how to think
that's
under
right.
pressure.
You have that confidence. That's what training does. It
Right.
builds confidence. And then when you see the proficiency in results, it's further building your confidence. You know you can do the thing that you need to do.
Right. I mean, make it simple. You're a fat body, and then you start eating correctly and going to the gym. Now you're, fit and you can run and everything like that. Did that just build your confidence? Yes or no? I don't think it made anybody's confidence worse, So pushing the limits builds bandwidth
Yeah, for sure.
because yes, we train to shoot fast, but does it mean do we have to shoot that fast?
Correct.
No.
And then that's another trope on that or adage here is how do you know where your limits are if you've never pushed?
Exactly. I mean, if you've only driven your car 55 miles
Yeah.
an hour your whole life, and now you gotta drive it at 85, you're not gonna know how to do it.
All right. And then let me see. There was one more I want to look at here. And this is one. So the documentation liability, right? Poor training increases exposure. And what I'm surprised I don't see more of, and maybe it's because of, agencies have insurance agents, and then in some place, you have what's it called? Qualified immunity and
Qualified
things.
me exactly.
I'm surprised I don't see more liability, at least in, like, what's the word? Collateral damage. I'm surprised you don't see more of it.
Right.
There's been some videos out there where I've seen the classic Polish ambush or just crazy shooting off into an area where there's a park or something
Right.
behind. I'm surprised there's not more liability, and it's pure luck
Nobody's getting hurt.
that there's not as much. But I'll say this, and I've said it 8 million times, and I've said this to operators who've been to Iraq 8 million times. Just because you did something and lived, don't mean you did it right.
Correct.
Just because you were in a officer-involved shooting and didn't accidentally shoot somebody's grandma, don't mean that you
Right.
got lucky, man.
So these things are starting to pop up even more because the liability going to the officer because, what was it, Breonna Taylor?
Yeah,
That one, right?
yeah,
So the officer that just blatantly was shooting and shot through the walls,
yeah,
he got charged for that.
yeah.
So, it's not just about you surviving the incident, it's did you do things correctly? And with training, it gives you more bandwidth to be able to think, oh, do I really need to be shooting in that direction?
Well, they're blind
Right.
in that
Or
particular
my
instance.
buddy's
Shooting blind.
shooting and I don't know what he's shooting
Yeah,
at, so all the rest of us are going to start shooting.
right. And that's why investigations are critical. Now the public will bust on cops, and I do too a little bit about. We investigated ourselves and found that we were of not liable, but training allows you to be able to operate in these gray areas with actual proficiency.
Right.
Now, a well-trained cop, not that guy, would not have shot through
No.
a blind structure, whether it was a window, curtain, or whatever, until he had something identified a target,
Exactly.
which is one of the 4 universal rules of fire and safety.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of videos out there that
Yeah.
we can break apart.
Well, you weren't there, man. You don't know. You don't know what it's like to be under stress.
Whatever.
Yeah, man. That's what I say every time. Like, whatever. I don't want to hear about your inability to control your fucking stress. I know what stress is like,
Right.
and you can train a lot of that stuff out. You can smooth the edges off of that stress
Yep.
with training.
But you have to have the willingness to train.
That's right.
You have to be, and this is the thing: is what do we preach on the range when we're teaching people? You got to fail.
Well, yeah,
Push
limits.
exactly. You
That's
have to
right.
push the limits and see where you fail. Then we bring it back a little bit, and then each time you come out there, if you practice and you train, that ceiling is going to be a little higher. So it's going to take you longer to fail or farther distance to fail, right?
Yeah,
And that's measurable.
yeah. You got to push them. You got to push the limits out there because you raise your bottom line. The
Exactly.
more you train, your
Yep.
baseline keeps going up, keeps going up, keeps going up.
Exactly.
And that's what that's what everybody's trying to get to.
And it's measurable.
It's what you should be trying to get to. All right, we're going to look at, let's see, your closing stuff here. Let's see. Deficiency. Yeah. So we've identified, leadership, trainers, and the individual officers. Everybody needs to do better, but it's all got to do with like leadership, prioritizing, budgetary specifically. That's a big one. For instructors is being a good instructor, like a properly good instructor.
Right. Continually learning.
To care about it enough
Yep.
for your own professional development. And then individual officers, man, just your own survivability ought to be enough. But what else?
Right.
Find a buddy to compete with, man.
You can survive the altercation and still do things wrong.
That's right.
Just because you survived, I mean, there's one where there was a video, officers were stacked up, in an apartment entryway or the balcony or whatever it is, right? One was sitting in front of the other one, and something happened, and he went to shoot, and the officer moved in front of him, and he shot his own officer in the back of the head. Well, that guy survived, but he shouldn't have been set up like that. That's poor training.
Yeah.
That could have been trained out.
I wonder if they're buddies.
Sure they were.
I wonder if they're buddies now.
Well, the guy's dead. So
I thought you said he survived.
No, the guy that shot him survived, right?
Yeah, of course he survived.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just because you survived the shooting doesn't mean.
So I thought you meant the guy.
No, he smoked.
Okay, so he smoked.
Shot him right in the back of the head. He slumped right there.
So yeah, and now there's unintended consequences. So now that dude is probably a nervous wreck and probably not a cop anymore. And he's probably curled up in his living room wondering why he shot his buddy.
Exactly.
Back at the head.
But could that have been avoided?
Yeah, it could.
Yes.
Absolutely could have. And that's through tactic. Never mind marksmanship training. That's a tactical mistake to be pointing your gun.
But then a lot of times we can't get into tactics because we spend a minimal time on firearms.
Yeah. Well, that's right. That sounds like a tactical mistake for sure.
Because you talked about it earlier. That shooting is shooting. Everything else is tactics.
That's right. Yep.
You have to train both.
Problem solving,
exactly.
Tactics, all that
movement, everything. That's all tactics.
Elevate standards. And and the last thing you got here, and this competence saves lives on both sides of the match. You're mitigating liability to the general public and to you and your partners by training.
Exactly.
So that you don't shoot your partner in the back of the head. So, just unreal. Or so that you don't shoot an 8-year-old girl by accident.
Right.
Or somebody's abuela.
The bad guys don't care.
The bad guys don't care. But we have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not the good guys. We're just dudes wearing badges. You got to care.
There's no indiscriminate just firing out.
And if you don't care, guess what, man? I say it all the time. If you don't like your job, go be a fucking DJ. You know what I'm saying? You have to care.
Yeah. McDonald's is hiring.
All right. So yeah, we ripped on the cop training. Periodically, I like to do that. I want cops to come out and train, but not because I want cops to come out and train so I can make money. If cops show up to an incident where I'm out with my wife and grandkids, those cops need to be fucking proficient, man. Don't put my grandkids in danger because you're too arrogant to go train under somebody else or something else.
Right. Training builds confidence. Confidence in your approach, confidence in your interview, confidence in everything.
That is absolutely it. Training builds confidence. Be proficient. Go out and do it. All right, Dennis, you want to give your dojo and your websites and all that stuff?
Yeah. So Force Solutions is my training company for firearms and defensive tactics. You can find me at forcesolutions.co. And we also, my wife and I own a martial arts school in Woodstock, Georgia, and that would be AtlantaMartialArtsCenter.com.
Nice. So if you're in that area, go give it a look. And folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for following. Thanks for sharing. Please do. OspreyShootingSolutions.com, 2teamguys.com. We got a land nav course 5, 6, and 7 December. So it's out there and you can find it on the website, 2teamguys.com. And then if you feel so guided, please give to the Help a Homie Fund. That is givesendgo.com/Help a Homie Fund. Other than that, please spread the word, folks. Be good to each other, have good manners, and do great things. I love you guys.